Welcome to the Excellence at Work podcast, where we explore the strategies and best practices that drive business success. I'm Rachel Cook, COO of Brandon Hall Group and the host of our podcast, along with members of our executive team. In each episode, we'll dive into the latest trends, insights, and real-world examples from some of the most exciting leaders from organizations worldwide. Be part of our journey and learn from the best as we discuss innovative approaches and cutting-edge technologies for talent management, learning and development, leadership, diversity and inclusion, and more. Hi, and this is Rachel Cook with Brandon Hall Group. I'm the host of our podcast at Excellence at Work. And today I have with me, I'd like to welcome Lou Tedrick, the Vice President of Global Learning and Development at Verizon. Hi, Lou. How are you?
I'm doing great, Rachel. It's good to see you today.
Great to see you as always. And I'm excited to have you on the podcast. We've been chatting a lot and exchanging updates over the past year about some of the critical work that you've been doing as it relates to staffing and particularly staffing globally, your learning organization. And your team has strategically decided to do it yourself rather than through an outsourced vendor. And I know that's something that a lot of companies are kind of in the mix of what they're doing from what we see in our research. And you have some best practices, and I'm really excited to kind of have you share with our audience. And also this is going to be part of our HCM study, our Outlook study that we are going to be publishing at the end of the year as we look at priorities going into next year and best practices about all things about learning and talent and leadership, and really to help professionals understand companies and leaders like yourself, how you are established, how you're structured, and how you're overcoming some of the challenges that we all face, economically, globally. There's no shortage of them, really. But right. It's reassuring when we get to talk to leaders like you and how you are establishing yourself and your organization for success. And why don't you share what inspired you and how did you decide to manage this approach or staffing and learning internally rather than going through an outsourced vendor?
Yeah, it was a long process for us to come to that conclusion. It was in the late part of 2022 that operations functions within HR, including L&D, which we're really considered part of the operational execution for things that happen in our business. We were moved into a newly formed Verizon shared services group. And one of the objectives of that group was to look at how we can maintain effectiveness, but be more efficient with our service delivery across to serve. And so I was asked to take a look at how could you continue to support the business, but do it in a more efficient way. And that could include looking at how to do work around the sun, look at how you do work globally with resources that are at a different pay scale, and others in the same organization were doing the same thing. So we were working on a location strategy. So my leadership team and I met to talk about this challenge. And the first thing that we did was an exhaustive research of managed learning services providers who we thought might be able to take on the work for us. And we identified what work we thought we could have under a managed learning services provider. We went through an RFP process and had 3 final service providers. We provided them with all of our volume, all of our data, our timelines, et cetera, to meet our business's requirements. And we found that it wasn't going to be a less costly proposition for us to go that route. So And also what we recognized was that the culture of the L&D team is one that people go that extra mile. People get an incredible amount of work done in support of our clients. So part of the magic of our team was this really collaborative family culture that we have. And it's because of that, people have each other's backs. People work, longer to get things accomplished. And so um, that's part of the reason why we were getting more done with the resources that we had, just because of the commitment of our team. So with all of that, we decided to work with one of the managed learning services providers to help us build out um, building global teams within Verizon and hiring them as our staff. So we spent the better part of last summer and fall really mapping out what work we would put in the countries, and we determined that the countries we would be staffing would be the Philippines and India, and that's because we have a high presence of learners that we support with BPOs who act on behalf of Verizon. We have a large technology presence in India, as well as BPOs in India. And as we worked with the other third party, we felt like the talent was readily available in both of those locations. Good L&D talent, because either they have BPO experience or there are many international learning companies in those locations where we thought we could attract talent who may want to make a shift from being working for multiple clients to being on the inside of a company and part of their L&D organization as part of their career development. So we work very closely with a location strategy team within Verizon. We work with our talent acquisition team, and we also had to make decisions in order to build up the resources in these two locations. We were going to have to reduce resources in our current organization in order to fund this. But we also felt that the opportunity to get our resources closer to some of our customers would help us with cultural nuances that we have had some challenges with, and then also give us the opportunity to have people working multiple shifts so that we truly could have work being done around the clock in multiple countries versus someone in the US working day and night, to get something accomplished. So it's a very comprehensive plan that we announced in February to our team. And since then, we've been in the process of scaling down our organization in the US and scaling up our employees in the Philippines and India.
This has helped you build your global consistency in your learning programs as well. Are there any other things that you can share that has helped you balance that need?
What's been really great is that we already had team members in L&D, a small group of team members both in India and in the Philippines. So we had some experience with this, and we hired in each location, each country. I hired a location leader who reports to me and has oversight of how how the team members there work together, has understanding of the nuances of the culture, the nuances of the labor in those, the labor relations and employee relations are different in each country. So it was really helpful to us to have someone on our team who would be that feet on the street with the local HR teams and the local staffing teams to help make this happen. And we've asked them to be the champions of culture. And so they are the ones that are gathering everyone for onboarding each week. And then these two individuals sit at my leadership table, and they are creating cultural events that would bring our teams together in India and the Philippines to build the culture of our L&D team there. So it's doing two things. We're really understanding the culture of the learners that we support. And then we're also really trying to grow and expand the culture of L&D. And it was because of the team members that we've had that it's been so successful, that we've worked so well together, that people were open to the possibility of expanding this. The other thing I would say that we did is, for some of the challenges in terms of attracting the talent, we have just about every type of role in L&D in these locations. So we may be hiring you as an instructional designer. We have delivery roles, we have leadership roles. So we're bringing people in, but there is the possibility of people being able to work horizontally for career development or even vertical opportunities. And that's really enabled us to attract some really great talent who are interested in coming inside of a global U.S.-based organization and being part of the L&D team in a different way. So we've attracted people from some of our business partners, the BPOs, and then we've also attracted people from a number of the technology companies that have a presence in both of those locations.
And having that partner that's localized really helps you build that culture. And you yourself and Pete, and was it just the two of you that went over there, or did you have other team members? You spent a considerable amount of time in both India and the Philippines. So
yes, my director of learning technology, Pete Beck, and I went over, and we had another one of our senior directors who managed part of our Verizon business group, and we were a trio that interviewed candidates for the location leader role. And then we also had other team members who were there that were interviewing candidates for other positions. So there was a nice presence in both locations of our leadership team coming in to interview. And then what we've done since then is we have a travel plan for majority of our hiring managers and our senior leaders to go over to India and Philippines throughout the remainder of the year to meet their teams, to represent, my direct reports, not only meeting their team members, but representing our leadership team to the whole group. And then the hiring managers having an opportunity to go and meet people face to face as part of their onboarding process. So it's been a logistics opportunity because we have so much budget, but we're really trying to make sure that the critical people get to go and then people feel really connected with each other. We also asked the team members to, even if they were going to work remotely long term, to spend time in the office as we got them onboarded. So we do have days like day one, day two, people are in the office getting their equipment, meeting each other. And then the culture in India is that they come into the office more days than the culture in the Philippines. So we also really try to respect the culture of each group. But at a minimum, we're bringing the teams together once a month so that they can join together, do work together, get developed together, and again, build that culture within our organization.
That's great. And that's a best practice, and among some other best practices that you have for both staffing and onboarding.
That's when we're trying to have this leaders scheduled to go when more people would be together. So there's an opportunity to meet more people face to face and just supplement. There's constant virtual meeting, but that face to face opportunity is one we're really trying to leverage for the full power of getting people together and getting to know each other.
And so since you did spend some time there, I believe at least a month or more, what did you learn about the culture besides that the ones that in the Philippines they like to work more remote versus India? Are there any other culture norms? I know you were sharing some of the food that you really like,
Yeah.
the spicy food.
Well, it's
But I
just
think that's all also, I know we're talking about food and you're like, why should we be talking about food? And, we're staffing and onboarding, but it's really important to understand the culture and how you engage and how you learn about each other. It makes your work is part of your life. And so just
yes,
understanding those nuances and being able to relate to each other and understand and enjoy, the differences.
yes. I think we've all had to learn about each other's holidays, so that's been an educational opportunity. Each country has holidays, some of them with similar meaning, but different times of year, and then others with very specific meaning to their culture. So that's been something that we've been trying to share, not only so when someone may be on holiday, but what's the significance of this holiday and how does it fit your organization. So that's been really fun to learn about our team members. And again, we had some experience with that before, but not at the scale. So the leaders who manage the smaller groups of teams we're now expanding to, my whole team needs to understand this as to our people in India and Philippines. What I found, however, is we have more in common than we have differently. And when you step back and you're talking to learning professionals, we all share the same passion for the learner and delivering great results, to the business. So um, when we were talking to learning people, it didn't really matter where we were from. That was one of the magical things that we found, because we're all trained the same way, educated this, more or less the same way. So that was something that we had in common. And then the cultural nuances have really helped us with understanding, oh, maybe this is why we've gotten feedback that something hasn't worked well in one of the classes that we created. Or the other thing that I'm excited about with some of our team members, there's some innovative technologies that they've used with other organizations that could solve problems that we have, or have had, if we could deploy. So we're really trying to make sure that the people that we're bringing in, we're educating them on our business, on our processes, but we're also wanting to make sure that they don't lose the experiences they had with their other organizations, particularly if there's a good solution or a good method of working that we could leverage from their past experience. So I've actually asked that. I meet with every new hire, every couple of weeks. I meet with each of the teams, and I give them that assignment to tell me, to write down the questions that they have, like, why do we do this, so that we can either question it ourselves or make sure we're fully helping them understand why we do what we do. And then the second question I have is, why don't we do something? So again, as they're coming in with a fresh set of eyes, look at, well, why don't we use XYZ? Why haven't we considered this learning methodology? So those are some of the things that I've asked, and we're collecting those. My location leaders are collecting those from the teams. We're doing roundtables, and then we'll start to look at, how do we need to clarify? Do we step back and actually say, some of these practices we've had in place worked for a time and they don't make sense anymore. Let's do something different. And then again, let's be open to ideas that people are doing from other places. So it's really an exciting time for us. And at the same time, I did mention we had team members that we've had to let go as part of this process. So we've been balancing helping them navigate through the process. Verizon has a very generous separation package. So, everyone receives that as part of their offboarding. But but those team members too, they're just incredible, and they're all working really hard um, to make sure that their transition between the work they're doing today and the work that someone else will be doing in the future has been very smooth. So again, I think that goes back to the pride and the family orientation that we have in our company. It's been a challenge for our leaders to manage through people you're bringing in at the same time people you're saying goodbye to. And I think any company would be facing that if they needed to. So that's been the leadership challenge. Um, that's really stretched all of us as leaders to manage those two worlds and do it, with respect and dignity for our team members.
Sure. And I think that's also something that you shared was creating the new culture where you have your existing um, professionals from within the U.S. as you're bringing on global professionals as
Yes.
expand into the global market. So, are there any other best practices, lessons learned, or what do you anticipate for the next year to come?
I would say we had a wonderful relationship with our staffing or our talent acquisition organization. They staff in those locations, although they hadn't staffed large volumes of our talent, but we really respected their expertise and let them guide us on what would be the best ways to find the talent, interview the talent, and get the talent in the timeline that we were looking at. And so, we get great feedback from them that we were good clients because we didn't try to tell them how to do their job. We respected them, and they've done a tremendous job finding talent for us. We've almost hired everyone. We'll have everyone onboarded by the beginning of September, and it's over 170 people that we're bringing on board, and we've had only one person leave so far, just based on some misunderstanding of the job responsibilities. So that's something we had to shore up in our staffing process. Another thing that we did was use teams to interview. So we had instructional design teams, we had delivery teams, and we created profiles for the roles that we were interviewing, and a rubric for how we would evaluate those candidates. But we asked people to trust that others could hire for you. And you do not have to hire everyone that's going to report to you. So that was new for us. But it really helped us focus the staffing process. It put that in the hands of a few people so everyone didn't have to be engaged. And then make the hires as quickly as we possibly make the offers and the hires as quickly as we possibly could. So we were looking at, could that be, if we ever had a situation where we had to hire in volume, would that be a method in the future? And then the last thing is we've used onboarding partners. So we have peers that are helping onboard their peers. And that's just been a wonderful experience for both the incoming team member and the person who's here that's bringing someone together. So it's just been a win-win for us in that regard.
I like when companies do that, when they partner someone, a champion, ambassador, coach, or someone to connect to you, because there are going to be a lot of questions, and I don't know if everyone's always so readily wanting to go to their manager for
Right.
simple questions. It could just be, where can I find?
Yeah, it's a safe
I like
person
that.
to ask that question. You're like, oh, would someone think I wasn't on the ball if I asked this question? So it's just been really nice. And then
That is
the
great.
goal is that those are the people they lean on, in the future if needed when they've got questions also. So
Well, great. Thank you, Lou. Thank you for sharing with me today. And I know you're in between your training sessions here, so I appreciate you taking a few moments to share your best practices. And I'm excited for us to be able to release this in our upcoming study, as well as through our membership. So thank you so much. And hopefully next year we'll see you at our conference again. where you can. You'll have a lot more coming out from this as you head into the remaining part of the year. But I'm pretty confident that it's going to be a lot more great stories for you to be able to share.
Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure, and we're feeling really positive. So looking forward to being able to share, the how did this all turn out?
Absolutely. Take care. Thank you, Lou.
Thank you.